What's going on, guys? It's DeathMonk here. Today I'm going to be talking about something rather interesting concerning zombies within Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Now, thanks to MarkWerbot on X/Twitter, he's found out some rather interesting information, potentially how these zombies have actually made their way into the Modern Warfare universe. Now, for those who may remember the destruction of VERDANSK live event that we got a few years ago now, if you want to see some gameplay of that, I will leave that link down in the description and annotated in the info card above. But as you guys can see, he's made a really interesting theory to suggest that the VERDANSK nuke is actually still canon. And we're going to take a look at this. So as you guys can see, the blast, which was from the very first nuke cutscene, you can see that the smoke from the nuke slowed down tremendously by the time it got close to the prison complex, aka the Gulag. This means the blast will have only badly damaged. Up to the green lines on the TAC map in this image above, which I'll show you on screen right now. So as you guys can see, the actual nuke actually struck right here, just to the southwest here of the stadium. So that's really interesting there. And as you guys can see the radius of the actual strike, which is right here. Now, I was talking to the stadium, but I think it missed by a fair few meters. So this means that it is still completely plausible that the dam and prison complex are still in use, which would make sense from the reveal trailer that we got from Modern Warfare 3 during the live event that we got a few weeks back. These were barely touched by the nuke. Additionally, tactical nukes can be relatively small, so Verdansk was hit by a tactical nuke, as we all more or less know. So as you guys can see, this could suggest that 1 kiloton was used during this. So as you guys can see, the smallest tactical nuclear weapons can be 1 kiloton or less, producing the equivalent to 1,000 tons of explosive TNT. The largest ones can be as big as 100 kilotons. Strategic nuclear weapons are larger, up to 1,000 kilotons, and are launched from longer range. Now that would make sense considering where the actual nuke came from, that was outside the map of Verdansk, and made its way to the map, almost destroying the stadium. 15 kilotons, the detonation created by a blast equivalent to 15 kilotons of TNT, or 63 TJs, the U-235 weapon was considered very inefficient. With only 1% of its fissile material reacting, the radius of total destruction was about 1 mile, or 1.6 kilometers, with resulting fires across 4.4 square miles, or 11 kilometers squared. That's from the NOLA Gay, which I think is another nuke event that happened in real life. Now, Verdansk, keep in mind, is confirmed to be 9 kilometers squared large, or big. The Enola Gay's definition, as noted above, had massive fires along 11 kilometers squared. This means that the Verdansk nuke would have been relatively smaller than the nuke dropped in Hiroshima if it was only expecting a small part. The radiation a week after Hiroshima, the radiation decreased tremendously to 1/1 millionth of what it originally was. Deaths due to radiation quickly decreased as well. Radiation, while a big threat, wouldn't be as big of an issue 2 years later for a small tactical nuke. So as you guys can see, roughly 80% of all residual radiation was emitted within 24 hours. Researchers indicate that 24 hours after the bombing, the quantity of residual radiation a person would receive from hypercenter would be 1/1000th the quantity received immediately following the explosion. A week later it would be 1/1 millionth. That was the Hiroshima-Nagasaki disaster that happened. Also, to back this up, it was concluded that persons exposed to the bombs at the time of detonation did show effects from ionizing radiation, and that some of these patients otherwise injured died. Deaths from radiation began about a week after explosion and reached a peak in 3 to 4 weeks. They practically ceased to occur after 7 to 8. So that's interesting. Of course, this is the issue of radiation being downwind, but it still follows the same idea that the radiation wouldn't last that long regardless. Even then, Call of Duty rarely takes wind affecting radiation into account, only doing it at the very end of DMZ matches. So some stay in the environment for a long time because they have long half-lives, like Cesium-137, which has a half-life of about 30 years. Most have very short half-lives, so decay away a few minutes or a few days. For example, Iodine-131 has a half-life of 8 days. So that's really interesting there. Also, rebuilding. So Verdansk being rebuilt in 2 years is honestly extremely likely. Going back to the Hiroshima comparison, Hiroshima had way more damage done and still only took 2 years to relatively go back to normal. New modern technology would have helped Verdansk as well. But these cities were not completely wiped off the face of the earth. In Hiroshima, within a 2-kilometer radius to ground zero, the little boy destroyed our buildings, but within a 3-kilometer radius or more, most of the buildings remained intact, including public facilities such as railway station. The restoration process took approximately 2 years, and the city's population, which had dwindled to about 80,000 after the bombing, doubled in a short time. So that's interesting. So evidence. I think these images here that we got actually came from one of the early reveals of, I think it was one of the hints towards open missions, if you will, in the campaign. So the images were shown of the hospital had a destroyed look to it, along with shipping containers all around. It gives a sense that it's trying to rebuild after something happened to it. Now we believe at this present moment in time this could potentially have been the result of the Verdansk nuke after the destruction of Verdansk live event. But we still don't know exactly what happened to the original Verdansk map at this present moment in time. We have our theories recently with a few of the maps that we've got. So building 21 we suspect was actually underneath the Verdansk map. We saw, of course, the Verdansk keys in DMZ and things like that, so we all have our theories of exactly what happened. Rose's bio, which likely had been written around the same time as Modern Warfare 2022. Just before we go back to that, that's the image that we got at the hospital, which is rather interesting. Mentions unseen forces and Verdansk falling after Zakayev's death. So as you guys can see, unseen forces have different plans for Verdansk. However, after it fell in the wake of Zakayev's death, Shadow Company, which is rather interesting there. In TODOV costing money, you can still see that part of the stadium is still standing, aka the nuke wasn't as powerful. The calling card from the event as well showed stadium still standing as well. So that was the aftermath of the stadium, of course, and we can still see it still standing in this image from City of Leaks, which I think is from one of the calling cards. So that's really interesting there to take note of. And of course, we all saw some images during the one of the reveal trailers that we got, showing the stadium still burning down but still standing, and we actually saw, of course, the Verdansk emblem from the Verdansk soccer team. So, and of course, even though the Gulag isn't the same Gulag as we saw it back in the day, it still suggests that we are still in Verdansk when it comes to the stadium. The difference with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they were exploded in the air to maximise radiation and shockwave damage. Most radiation was dispersed into the atmosphere via the mushroom cloud, larger fallout. Verdansk's tactical hit ground zero equals greater blast damage and less fallout. So as you guys can see, as a result, a burst on the surface produces the greatest overpressure at very close range, but less overpressure than an air burst at somewhat longer ranges. When a nuclear weapon is detonated on or near the Earth's surface, the blast takes out a large crater, of course. Some of the material that is used in the crater is deposited on the rim of the crater. The rest is carried up into the air and returns to Earth as radioactive fallout. So that's really interesting there, guys. So make sure you guys do bear that in mind. But we'll have to wait and see if we actually are going back to Verdansk. Well, it appears to be, considering the recent campaign trailer that we got, and the recent campaign gameplay from the very first mission, Prisoner 627. And as you guys know, during that gameplay, we actually do see the actual Gulag. Now, I don't know if it's 100% exactly the same as the original Gulag, but given the information that we have at the moment, does suggest that we are heading back to the Verdansk map. So what know you guys' thoughts are of this? Let me know in the comments box down below. Let's wait and see how the zombies will affect this. Basically, don't forget, guys, the zombies did infest the actual Verdansk map before it got nuked, as part of one of the live events that we got during the destruction of Verdansk. I think that happened like during the time frame where it actually was Halloween in real life, I think so. So we'll have to wait and see how this is going to play out. Obviously, with the Verdansk map, we're not expecting it to be in Warzone. However, we do know it's going to be in campaign, of course, in the very first mission. Whether it's going to be somewhat involved in multiplayer, We don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. But let me know what you guys' thoughts are. Like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so to upload, and see you next one.